Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Love Is Season 1, Episode 4, which was titled His Answers. So you remember when the show ended in episode 3, we had her questions where Nuri was rattling off all those questions that her mom told her she should have already asked Yasir and had the answers to. So now in this episode, hopefully she will get those answers. So before we get started, I noticed that the current day scenes with the older Nuri and Yasir is starting to expand to some of the other characters like Sean. The older Sean comes and he's giving his point of view. And so I hope that they will actually bring Ruby on. So Ruby will get a chance to sit on the couch and tell how she was feeling as she saw Yasir slipping away from her and going to this other woman, falling head over heels in love with Nuri. When the show opens up, we have Yasir and Nuri, and they're each lying in bed. And so they make it seem like they're laying in bed together, but it turns out that they're both dreaming that they're in bed together. But then when Nuri rolls over and wakes up, she realizes she's in the bed alone. And when Yasir wakes up, he realizes he's still at Ruby's apartment. So last time that we actually saw them together was when Nuri showed up at Ruby's apartment, which was not a good look. And so I think the biggest part about that whole scene was when Nuri was still trying to talk to him and he closed the door in her face. So then we get, a modern day scene with the older Nuri, and she says that I started to wonder if I had dreamed the whole thing. He didn't call, he didn't come back to me, but when I heard the doorbell ring, I forgot to be mad at Yasir, and the thought of seeing him excited me more than trying to stay pissed off. So she runs to the door thinking that it was going to be Yasir, but it actually was Keith. I remember Keith is the TV executive who really likes her, and he's invited her to go on this ski trip. And so Keith is standing there, and she's very disappointed, completely forgetting about the ski trip that he had planned for them. Over at Ruby's, Yasir, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's so caught up with Nuri and figuring out what to do with Ruby and knowing that he needs to make a choice that is eventually going to hurt one of them. And so Ruby's on the phone with her mother trying to keep appearances up like her and Yasir are still together. And so they're laughing and talking about their relationship. And then she gives the phone to Yasir, and then Yasir is sitting there talking to the girl parents on the phone like they still in love, still in a relationship. And I thought that was kind of scary that he was able to just fall into that role so easily. So they make plans that Ruby's parents are going to come to town in 6 weeks, and they're going to take Yasir and Ruby out to dinner. And so Yasir says, he's down for it. He's excited about seeing them, and he'll be happy to go to dinner. So the two of them talk about, their issues and what they meant to each other before she breaks the subject up and starts asking about Nuri and why was she at her front door the night before. So Yasir goes ahead and lets her know that he met Nuri and that's who he wants to be with. And so y'all know after he revealed that revelation, he was homeless for real. She done put him out again. So back at Nuri's house, Keith is very persistent about Nuri going on this trip. He done bought her some ski jackets and some other things that she's going to need. And, he's like, besides, it's not like, we're going to be skiing anyway, like giving her the hint that that ain't really what he taking her there for. So she can't be such an airhead that she don't know that this man wants to sleep with her. So as she's trying to get him out of the house, the phone rings and it is her boss, and he's telling her that she needs to come in, and even though it's Saturday, they need to come in and do some work for the show. So meanwhile, Angela, convinces her that Yasir is done and that she should move on. But Nuri, she's trying to convince herself but not doing a good job. And, she wants to call Yasir and talk to him. And as she's leaving to go into work, she's angry about having to work on the Saturday. She's mad she hasn't heard from Yasir. And now Angela is telling her to let it go. So she, flies out of the driveway, narrowly missing Yasir as he's coming up. And so that he's trying to chase after her. And while she's driving off, she actually ripped up the program and threw it out the window. So that he's like, my God, like, can it be this bad? So he's trying to pick up the pieces of paper out of the street. And then Miss Pearl comes out, and she's trying to talk to him and, giving him hope that things can work out. Yasir learns that his car has been impounded. He doesn't really have any money to get the car out of impound. So this is just like another obstacle in his way. So he goes to the junkyard and he's trying to convince them to let him get the car out of tow. And so he's like, I think he said he had $98 worth of food stamps that he would exchange. And so the guy was like, no. And then he points to a sign that was in the window that says that they don't accept food stamps. And so he's basically telling Yasir that he was irresponsible and all of this stuff. And so I think Yasir gave Yasir a bag and told him that he could go and get all his personal artifacts out of the glove compartment. And I also think he had some scripts in the car also that he was trying to get. Still didn't get the number because while he was rummaging through the car, he dropped the number on the ground and it ended up blowing away. And then it was funny because when he was coming back to give the man the keys to the car, this lady came in and she was saying that she had a Geo, and the guy, was cracking jokes like, oh, people that own Geos, they're the most irresponsible type of people. But he was not trying to hear none of these sad stories that was going on. He needed his money for towing those cars. So he's back to scouring the phone book for a woman whose last name he doesn't know. So not only did Nuri not know his last name, he has never asked Nuri for her last name. And so it's just like, is this thing meant to be or not? And then maybe they make it meant to be because of so much that they were going through. So with all these things that are happening to them and all these obstacles in their way, like Mara and Salim are really pushing the envelope. And I think I mentioned this in the second recap, how women were on Twitter, basically saying like they feel like they've been too hard on guys and their standards have been so high. Maybe they need to lower their standards and work with a brother, so that they can find the same kind of love and happiness that Nuri has found. But I'm here to tell y'all it ain't the same thing. I'm not saying it's not possible, but don't be out there picking up no scrubs off the street. Then we have the older Yasir, and he's like, when Nuri looked into his eyes, I saw the real me, a man who could become a king. So it seems like the older Yasir knew that the youngest Yasir wasn't worth crap, and he really was a deadbeat. And so he's very grateful that Nuri took a chance on him and was willing to work on him. But I'm just wondering, how much time and energy do you have to put into building up a grown man? Because remember, Yasir is like 7 years older than Nuri. He's been married before and divorced, and he has a child that we still have not met. We still haven't seen him call to talk to spend time with. And I think I forgot to tell you guys in the previous episodes that Loretta Devine plays Yasir's mother. And she is a hoot, okay? And she kind of reminds me of a friend of mine who has a son that has like kids from multiple women. And she keeps telling the new girlfriends like he's a moth that's never going to be a butterfly. But then they still get involved with him, end up getting pregnant from him, and then they want to come cry on her shoulder. And she's like, I don't want to hear it because I told you that this is what was going to happen. So that's kind of how Loretta Devine's character reminds me of our family friend. So back to the recap. So Yasir goes home to check on Ruby again, and he plans on taking his unemployment checks and going back home, like back to the Bay Area where he's from, back to his mama's house is basically what it boils down to. But Ruby doesn't want him to go because she'll be alone in Los Angeles, and she says her parents will be worried and upset that he left her there. Plus there's still another 6 weeks for her to heal from the liposuction, and she's going to need his help. And plus her parents are supposed to be coming in 6 weeks, so he's still got to be there to put up that front. So the two of them decide to make peace, and Yasir was like, well, why are you gonna let me stay? This is making things too complicated. And Ruby basically tells him to be quiet. I'm offering you a fresh start so you can get it together and start back over again. And then Yasir says, Ruby, do you think I'm using you? And remember, Nuri asked him that same question the night before. Let me back up because I don't know how I forgot this. So while Nuri was at work, him and Sean go back to the house. And I can't remember what Yasir was looking for at the house. But of course, Nuri's gone and hasn't come back from the Saturday work project that she was on. And so they get into her house. And I thought like this was such a violation. And if you've ever been robbed before, like my home has been burglarized before, and just that feeling that somebody has been inside your house, and like you don't know if they've been through like your underwear drawer, your lingerie, if they read personal papers or whatever that you had, and it's just a yucky feeling. And then to think that somebody that you just met, that you call yourself falling in love with, would actually go into your house and go through your things, that's like a whole nother story going on. And then Sean went into the house because he had to use the bathroom, and so he goes into the bathroom and does number 2 and stink up the whole house. So after him and Sean go through Nuri's house, they leave and they go back to Sean's house, where Sean is living with his baby mama. And so she's cooking dinner and they're sitting there talking. So they have like a heart-to-heart man talk with each other, where they're basically being real. Like, we are some trifling dudes. We got these good women who love and care about us and would do anything for us, but we can't get our act together and be right by them. And then Sean was like, maybe they keep calling us boys because we won't get off the couch and act like men. And so I like the fact that they threw that part into the show to kind of give us some insight as to what men are thinking when they know they did wrong, but they just continue down this trifling path. And like the chick who Sean is with, she kind of reminds me a lot of Ruby, except for we ain't seen Ruby in the kitchen cooking full course meals and having Sean come over to her house and eat her food and everything. And so I think that she wants to work things out with Sean, but she's ready for Sean to stand up and be a man, sort of like Ruby is ready for Yasir to stand up. But Sean's girlfriend, she be bringing it to him, talking trash, talking smack, like, Joker, you ain't nothing, you this and you that. Whereas Ruby is trying to play that passive-aggressive role, where one minute she's passive and not expressing how she feels, and then when she gets so frustrated, she just explodes and tells him to get out the house and keeps kicking him out the house. So Sean woman just tell him get out my bed and go downstairs and sleep on the sofa. So later on, Yasir tries his luck again by stopping by Nuri's house, and this time she's actually home. So this is his chance to answer her questions, and he's hopeful and even writes "I love you" on the dusty car window because her car really needed to be washed. And so he writes "I love you" on the window. And so he says that the truth is that Yasir Omar isn't his birth name, that he changed his name once he converted to Islam. He has a 6-year-old son that he misses, but like I said, we ain't seen him talk to the son in 4 episodes. He tells her that he's divorced, that he and Ruby are done, but still friends, and he's not perfect, and he is using her, but he's using her to make him a better person, and that is really, and then he says that you're my fresh start, and then Keith knocks on the door and ruins everything. Oh, and he also told her that even though him and Ruby are done, he has to stay there for another 6 weeks because, he made that, because it's going to take her that long to heal. I don't think he told her the part about the parents coming and he was supposed to have been doing this dinner and everything. So Keith is at the door, and so she's trying to explain to Yasir, that she had forgot all about the ski trip. He gets all in his feelings and tells her that, she's just like the rest of them, and he don't know why he trusted her and all this stuff. And I'm like, Jekyll, you got a lot of nerve when you got a whole other woman back at the house waiting on you to come home. And then also, when him and Sean was at the house earlier, he had brought her mail in and he had wrote a note to her saying that he didn't want her to go on the ski trip, because when her and Sean came in, they saw the ski jacket and stuff that Keith had bought for her for the trip, and they were trying to decide if she had already left for the trip or if she was just out doing some shopping or whatever. And then I can't even remember why he came back, because I thought they had decided that she had gone on the trip already. But anyway, the show ends with him storming out of the house, and Keith goes over by her side, they're a couple, and Nuri going on that ski trip with him. And so Yasir got mad and he stormed out. And I'm just like, I'm really not understanding how you got an attitude when you got another woman at home. Oh, and then when he walked out and walked past her car, he brushed off the dirt on the window to wipe out the I love you that was on the window. So what do you guys think will happen next between Nuri and Yasir? And if you were in Nuri's shoes, would you still go on the trip with Keith, or would you run after Yasir and make him feel better? And I think that was it. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.